They want to provoke you. They want to see you lose control, raise your voice, break your mask, because that's the only way they feel powerful. They want your reaction more than they want to be right. That's the trap, and most people fall into it every single time. But why do they fall for it? And what happens when you refuse to play? That's where your power begins. Because there's a kind of strength that doesn't shout, a power that doesn't move, a warrior who doesn't flinch, and that's who you must become. The Stoics called it apatheia, the discipline of not letting external chaos disturb your internal peace. It's not about pretending nothing bothers you. It's about mastering yourself so completely that nothing can. You become the calm in the storm, the eye of the hurricane, the silence that unnerves them. When you don't react, you don't feed their fire. You starve it. You deny them the drama. You force them to confront themselves, and that is what truly breaks them. This isn't weakness, this is war, and your stillness is your sword. So if you want real power, if you want to command respect without ever raising your voice, then learn this one principle: don't react. Not to their games, not to their chaos, not to their noise. Stay rooted, stay unmoved, because that's exactly how you win. That's exactly how you break them. There are people who feed on drama. They provoke, manipulate, and insult, not because they seek truth, but because they crave your emotional collapse. They want to feel superior, and the easiest way to do that is to pull you into their chaos. The moment you react, they win, because now you're playing their game. And when you're emotional, you're predictable. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That line alone is enough to reshape how you move through the world. Because every time you lash out, every time you try to prove yourself, you surrender your control. You abandon the battlefield of strength and step into the arena of noise. And noise is their territory. Your power begins the moment you stop reacting, not out of fear or passivity, but from absolute control. You become the mountain in the storm, unshaken, untouched, too high to reach, too solid to move. You choose stillness not because you're weak, but because you've outgrown the need to prove anything to anyone. Let them scream, let them insult, let them twist your words. You don't flinch, you don't fold, you don't feed them. You hold the line, and that alone breaks them more than any retaliation ever could. The world trains you to respond to everything: notifications, insults, praise, rumors, lies. You are conditioned to defend, explain, argue, react. But the Stoic does not answer every call. He does not chase validation or approval. He rules himself. And that is why he is feared. Because silence, real silence, is unsettling. It shows the other person they have no power over you. Ask yourself, how many times have you reacted just to be seen, just to be heard, just to feel in control? What if you didn't? What if your silence was louder than their words? Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That is the foundation of Stoic control. You may not control what they say or do, but you always control what you do with it. Silence becomes your defense, not because you are hiding, but because you have already won. Your mind is not up for auction. Your peace is not a currency to be gambled. They can shout, but you will not echo. They can push, but you will not move. And in that moment they realize nothing they do can shake you. That is when you break them. Not with volume, not with rage, but with absolute presence. They will insult you. They will twist your words, mock your silence, and interpret your calm as weakness. That is the test. That is when most people break. They try to fight back, to defend their ego, to restore some illusion of control. But you do not. Because you know what they do not. You know that words only have power if you assign them meaning. You know that an insult is nothing more than air unless your mind gives it weight. Epictetus taught that it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. So if someone calls you a fool, you do not need to react. If they mock your choices, your silence, your strength, let them. You are not here to please noise. Let them build their castle of pride. You will not live in it. You will not even step inside. Your indifference becomes a mirror, and in that mirror they see themselves as desperate, loud and small. The more you ignore their noise, the louder they get. The more you stay still, the more they tremble, because you are showing them a kind of power they cannot touch. A man who does not react is a man who cannot be manipulated, and in a world addicted to reaction, that kind of man is terrifying. Every attack they launch is a gift in disguise. It is a map revealing their weaknesses, their triggers, their desperation. But only if you do not react. Because the moment you stay silent, you become the observer. You see the cracks in their armor, the fear behind their rage, the emptiness beneath their pride. That is power. Most people get dragged into the mud trying to defend their image. But the Stoic does not defend. He absorbs, he studies, he learns. You use their attack as fuel. You refine your patience, you train your discipline, you sharpen your restraint. Every insult becomes another representative in the gym of your mind. Every provocation becomes an opportunity to remain grounded. Seneca once wrote that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. And delay is only possible when you step back, breathe, and refuse to be pulled in. You do not just avoid the trap, you learn from it, you grow from it, you use it. Ask yourself, what if every attack they throw is just another tool for you to become stronger? Because while they try to trigger you, you are building immunity. And eventually, they stop attacking. Not because they changed, but because it no longer works. You did not break. They did. There is a moment in every confrontation when silence becomes louder than any scream. When you do not react, you force the other person to face the void they were trying to escape. Most people do not start arguments to win. They start them to avoid the truth inside themselves. And when you remain silent, they have nowhere to hide. You shine a light on their insecurity without lifting a finger. Their power depends on your reaction. Their control depends on your weakness. But the Stoic removes himself from that game completely. He is not silent because he has no words. He is silent because he sees the battlefield and chooses not to step into it. He does not run, he stands. Calm. Still. Immovable. The chaos around him can rise and crash like a storm, but inside, he remains untouched. That is why silence works. Because it reflects everything back to the attacker. Their noise grows, but you grow calmer. Their fire burns out, but your strength endures. The moment you stop playing their game, they lose without even knowing it. And slowly, their attacks become weaker. Their energy fades. You did not break, you did not react. You simply outlasted them. They burn out in their chaos. You remain like stone watching fire turn to ash. This world will give you 1,000 reasons to lose control, but the one who stays grounded will always win. Do not respond to noise. Do not answer to chaos. Do not play their game. Let them talk, let them twist, let them provoke. You remain in command. That is real power. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that cannot be shaken. The kind that earns respect through presence alone. This is the Stoic path. This is how you win without saying a word. Because silence is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is patience. It is a fire burning inward, waiting for the right moment to move. And most of the time, the right move is no move at all. Let them destroy themselves trying to reach you. You are not running, you are rising. You are stepping into a higher form of power, one they will never understand, because it comes from within. The next time they try to pull you into their storm, remember this. You are the sky, not the thunder. Let it pass, let them scream. You do not flinch, you do not respond, you stay rooted in silence. And in that silence you become unshakable. So if this message struck a nerve, watch it again. Let it echo inside you until stillness becomes your instinct. Then take the next step. The next test of your control is already waiting. Click the link in the description. Watch the next video. Go deeper, sharpen your discipline. Refuse to react. And most of all, do not just think like a Stoic, move like one.